Okay, we're going to move on down to 8.39, Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I ran into Persis Foster's daughter, Persis Ann Forster, recently while walking downtown. Yes, she shares her mother's name and still runs a 69-year-old dance studio. She was getting ready to take a group of students to an event in Sugar Land, but took time to let me know how hurtful it was to hear her mother disparaged in such a public way from the Arlington City Council. Persis Ann Foster let me know that she could not attend this meeting, but is rightfully concerned that the comments made will resonate forever. She's concerned about the perception her business will now have, as it is still operated under the original business name. Persis Ann recalls her mother being a loving, thoughtful, and strong woman who welcomed all students. I've had dozens of conversations with people who did not know Persis Forster, whom recalled the wonderful experience they had at her studio. Several recall that in the early 70s, Ms. Forster took some rebuke for pushing to remove the rebels as a UTA mascot during her time as a professor there. Ms. Forster also told me that she hopes that none of us on this council ever experiences such comments towards their loved ones after gone. I would like to formally apologize for any grief that this may have caused.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Buskett, do we have any speakers on this item?
Yes, sir. We have 6 speakers in support of this item, as well as 5 non-speakers in support. Our first speaker in support is Jock Bethune. After Mr. Bethune is Quentin Winston.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Mayor Ross and the Arlington City Council, I'm Jock Bethune. I live at 2209 Mediterranean Avenue here in Arlington. And I'm here to support this recognition of Persis Foster and to go on public record of what she has done for this community. I've known her for 50 years. I served with her on the Cultural Arts Task Force of the Arlington Chamber of Commerce, the Board of Downtown Theater, of which she was a founder, and Dance Theater of Arlington, the nonprofit she founded more than 40 years ago to provide students performance opportunities, to do community service, and to earn college scholarships. A lot of supporters can't be here, but I've asked to share a message from 2 of them. The first is from Shauna Carter Magruder. In the 1970s, my mother, an African-American, Barbara Carter, enrolled each of her 5 children with Miss Persis, including myself. She taught me and also my children not only how to dance, but also the importance of community, resourcefulness, and generosity. Her impact on my life is immeasurable. Also from Parker Vandergriff, who can't be here. In the 147 years of Arlington history, there is no one person who kept the arts alive than Miss Persis. She understood the power of the arts to build bridges instead of tearing them down. Her legacy remains with the thousands of lives she has touched, including 5 generations of the Vandergriff family. In closing, I will share with you a proclamation of May 3rd, 2022, as follows. Whereas Persis Foster has positively influenced the quality of life for many Arlington citizens in the area of performing arts, education, and community service. Whereas Persis Foster established the Miss Persis Studio of Dance and for 50 years has taught thousands of students the value of performing well and the art of good manners. And whereas she taught dance at UTA in Arlington for 18 years, served as the first female president of the Alumni Association, and was honored as a UTA Distinguished Alumnus. And in 1981, she founded the nonprofit Dance Theater of Arlington and established the I Am Outreach Program for her students. Now, therefore, I hereby proclaim May 18th, 2002 as Miss Persis Day in Arlington, and urge citizens to celebrate the positive impact that Persis Foster has had on our community. Signed, L.Z. Odom, Mayor of the City of Arlington. I thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Buskett, next speaker, please.
Quentin Winston.
Mr. Winston.
After Mr. Winston is Lisa Ward.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Quentin Winston. I stay at 6302 Pilgrim Drive with my lovely wife and our 2 kids. When I had a fear of speaking today because I was worried about looking like a black mascot for a predominantly white studio. But before I could even be approached about speaking today, I knew it was my job to speak because of the 15 years that I have been touched by Miss Persis Studio. As a 15-year-old, I started to dance for one simple reason, to pick up chicks, because that's why you started dancing at my age. But fast forward, I have now traveled the world as a professional dancer. I have started a nonprofit that now raises toys for underprivileged kids. We partner with Arlington Life Shelter. I teach at Booker T. Washington Performing Arts, a hip-hop curriculum that's never been done. And I'm proud to say that that curriculum is my way of making change for minority, as it is very, very heavily rooted in Black culture. And I know that that could have never been done if at the age of 15, Miss Persis Studio did not put a flyer for the Teen Talent Follies. I didn't walk in there with my 4 boys and we sucked at this Teen Talent Follies, but the experience we had with that studio since then has been nothing but smiles. So it breaks my heart, as it broke my heart when she passed, but now it breaks my heart that I have to be here and speak for her, because my life, and not to mention the fact that I met my wife because I danced. She called me the best dancer at the club when we met, so mission accomplished with the reason I started to dance. But my life would not have changed if I didn't walk in that studio every day and Big P, Persis Forster, didn't ask me, what do you know? And I attempted to make her proud. And I hope I am today, and I hope I have in every aspect of my life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vice President, next speaker, please.
Award is Bonnie Watkins.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Lisa Ward at 2715 Marquis. What?
That's the wrong name. You said Bonnie Watkins, that's...
I didn't say anybody. I just said
That's
good
coming up
evening,
next.
ma'am.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
You can go ahead and keep talking.
Lisa Ward,
Give me a minute.
2715 Marquis Circle East. As a Miss Persis Studio of Dance alumni and current Dance Theater of Arlington board member, I would like to share with you my version of Miss Persis. From 6 years old to today, I know for certain I am a better person because of Miss Persis. Her unique way of teaching dance produced good stewards of the community. She made every student feel valued and special. She taught self-esteem and poise. This studio is special because we share our love of dance with our community year-round. I have fond memories because of elf shows over the years. We would perform musical theater medley Christmas shows at local nursing homes and assisted living facilities, wishing the audience members personally a Merry Christmas at the end of each show. Once I was in junior high, I auditioned to be in the Dance Theater of Arlington and the studio's nonprofit dance company. We would perform at all of the local festivals. You saw us at every single one of them. Those experiences translated to problem-solving skills, flexibility, and teamwork. Every employer would love those qualities in their team. Miss Persis did that. In high school, I performed in Teen Talent Follies with other students from other high schools in Arlington. It did not matter what part of town you came from, like Quentin. That's how we met him, because we were there to have fun and dance. Miss Persis made that possible. Fast forward to grad school at TCU, I continued the mission to share my love of dance and song with my community. In true Miss Persis fashion, I rewrote lyrics to a show tune for one of my MBA finals and sang it into the entire class. They were not prepared for that one. So today, in my role as a financial planner, I sing part of my 30-second commercial at the Greater Arlington Chamber of Commerce monthly Business Over Breakfast meeting. So if you want to come see a show next month, come on out. The impact Miss Persis had on my life was a great one. I hope I can continue to share my love of dance and song with my community like she did. Miss Persis made sure that we were always sharing dance with our community.
Thank you.
After Miss Watkins is Anna Pettit.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bonnie Watkins. I live at 1519 Cherokee Street, Arlington, Texas. Miss Persis came into my life when I was a little girl. Miss Persis was my dancing teacher from grade school through college. I was her first private student. Miss Persis and my family went to the same church, and when I was 13 years old, Miss Persis asked if I would be her new baby girl's godmother. Then at 17 years old, after much conversation and encouragement from Persis, I entered the Miss Arlington pageant. Because of the grace and the confidence that Persis had instilled in all of her students over the years, and the tap dance that she choreographed for the occasion, I won and went on to the Miss Texas pageant. Persis was my chaperone for the week of competition in the Miss Texas pageant, and the chaperones stayed in the same guest room with the representatives from each city. We had lots of time to talk about many things during that week. Nothing Persis said then or ever was racist. In fact, Persis and Persis Ann created a program called I Am. They took their talents to C.B. Berry Elementary on the east side of Arlington. The I Am program taught these children from multiple ethnic backgrounds who might never be exposed to singing and dancing how to hold their heads up and move about the stage to music with big smiles on their faces. I taught tap dancing for Persis for 20 plus years. I knew Persis literally all my life. I never heard her say or do anything racist. I had the privilege of sitting for hours and hours by Persis' bedside as she was getting ready to leave this life. What a treasure she was in my life and the lives of all of the families whose children she taught. Black and white students at UTA who studied theater from her. Black and white audiences at Casa Manana who loved her many talents. Precious people, black and white, who enjoyed her shows in Arlington's nursing homes. And all of the recipients of her love and care for the people of Arlington, Texas. Please honor her memory with a street sign topper beside her studio. It's the one thing that we can give her in death because of everything she did for this community and its children in her life. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Buskett.
After Miss Pettit is Rebecca Bowles.
My name's Anna Pettit. I live at 410 South Davis Drive in my grandparents' house, built in 1941. And I originally filled out and submitted this application for Miss Persis Street Toppers, having gone through this process before for the Oak Hill neighborhood. Miss Persis taught dance in Arlington for over 50 years. Not only did she teach dance, her students were taught respect, courtesy, patience, dignity, appreciation, self-esteem, self-confidence, and for the little ones, how to count. I personally took dance from Miss Persis at age 3. I always kept in touch with her, had the honor of stage managing her dance recitals at Texas Hall. I watched her organize and supervise so many students, young and old. She maintained a positive, fun atmosphere for everyone, including the stage crew. Ms. Persis deserves recognition from the City of Arlington for her contribution to help and teach so many people. She was and still is loved by thousands of Arlington residents. I encourage the mayor and city council to approve these 2 street toppers that read Miss Persis Place in downtown Arlington. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Our next speaker is Rebecca Bowles.
Greetings, Mr. Mayor and council members. Rebecca Bowles. I reside at 201 Sunset Court in the Oak Hill neighborhood with Anna. I'm a former president of the Dance Theater of Arlington. I was a board member from 2006 to 2015. And I want to talk, this is a 501c3 organization distinct from Miss Persis Studio of Dance. And I think it was the mechanism by which Miss Persis was able to do a lot of good in the community. The Dance Theater of Arlington, as I mentioned, is a 501c3. The board supports a high school dance troupe and raises funding to support dance opportunity for these high school students. They're selected by audition. In addition, the Dance Theater of Arlington is involved in carrying on the legacy of the Teen Talent Follies, which spawned such great performers as the Pentatonics, who first performed there. An event called Dance Texas, which brought local dance studios together for instruction by nationally recognized choreographers. Elf shows that ran through the holidays, as mentioned before, to local nursing homes. And I think most significantly, the IM program at CB Berry that they ran for 15 to 20 years, bringing weekly dance instruction to student population that continues to be 90% Hispanic and Black. These programs from the Dance Theater of Arlington were supported by grants from the Arlington Tomorrow Foundation, the Kiwanis Club, Arlington Arts Alliance, and Arlington Cultural Tourism Council. Having been a lifelong beginner tap student at Miss Persis, the comparison to any generals would only be appropriate if referring to Miss Persis as a general of good tap technique. Her classes were epic. Miss Persis made such a positive impact on this community. So please approve this resolution to honor her work in the community by approving this simple request for a street topper. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Buskin, any other speakers, sir?
No, sir, that concludes our speakers on this item.
How many non-speakers, sir, and who are they?
We had 5 non-speakers in support. Ken Watkins, Mike O'Donnell, Luann O'Donnell, Steve Burdick, and Jerry, I apologize, I'm going to butcher this, Buckner? Not sure on the pronunciation on that, I apologize.
Thank you. I recognize Councilmember Hogg.
Thank you, Mayor, and I will keep this short. As Ms. Boxall approached me, as the way to get this approved is one, the local council member, Ken's a single member, has to then have an at-large member to do these honoring. It was a no-brainer. As one of the few, a couple of us up here grew up in this town. We kind of joke we're townies. You know, we were born and raised here. Honoring someone like Miss Persis, the amazing thing she did is beyond just honoring her. It's honoring all the kids and the families who have been through that studio. As a preschooler, I went to that studio, and let me just tell you, I was not good at dance. I'm still not good at dance, but it's beyond teaching about dance. It's about teaching confidence. My daughters have gone through this dance studio. I think all of us have gone through it at different times as 5th grade programs and some things. You see her in the schools from what they're doing. When this came up, it kind of shocked us that there was some controversy over this. And I never like to look at the negative of what happened. What I look at is when this controversy came up, I started hearing stories I'd never heard in the past. Some amazing stories of Miss Persis. Some amazing stories of what she did to fight for this town and for people in this town during the time. When Persis Ann and I talked, she told me a story of 83. She took dancers over and she refused because they wouldn't let one of her dancers be there because of the color of their skin. You hear those stories and it makes a difference. I know a lot of people out here, as council knows, that we try not to focus on the negative, and I know this seems like it came off as a negative when some controversy came up for colleagues, but I look at this and see the positives that's come. This is an easy one to support. This is about supporting every dancer, every family that's gone through that studio in such a small little way to help the city of Arlington. And as some of these speakers said, what they've done, not only for a studio, but for schools, for the entire town, and for the arts as a whole, because it does make a difference for the arts and good communities around with arts. I'm proud to support this. I appreciate Ms. Pettit bringing it up, Ms. Boxall bringing me involved to get this, and my colleagues supporting this tonight.
Thank you, sir. My kids went to Miss Persis. They were there. Had I known I could pick up women, I'd have been dancing there too. I thought I could do it just as a dance dad, but that didn't work. We all try to do our best up here on council, and sometimes we do pretty good, and sometimes we step in it. And when we step in it, stuff like this happens where the little controversy comes out, and we see what an incredibly good silver lining is in that cloud. Mr. Hogg's absolutely right. What we were able to do through this was to identify some incredible things that Miss Persis has done. So a sign topper is not going to be sufficient. We're going to have to do it in a way that puts a QR code or something on there that will tell the story for Miss Persis and tell the story for everybody to see what an incredible impact that she made in Arlington. So we're going to do a sign topper, but we're going to do it in grand form. And we're going to start putting stuff out there that will tell the story, because one of the things that we've received through this process are dozens and dozens of emails of stories. And there's nothing that blesses your heart more than to listen to the stories that those who love Miss Persis would tell about her. Now, I think she would tell us two things if she was here tonight. She said, "I've heard enough about all of me." And she'd say, "Get on with it. Don't let this stuff drag us down. Let's get on with it." So that's exactly what we intend to do. With that, I have a motion from Councilmember Boxall and a second from Councilmember Hogg. Y'all cast your votes. And the motion passes. We're going to move on down.